It's Tuesday night, and you know what that means. Welcome back to the Tuesday night Paranormally Correct live stream. Taco Tuesday, as I like to call it, without the tacos and actually with the paranormal. I'm your host, Sarah, and with me, as always, is my co host,
Becca.
And on this Tuesday night, July 5th, 2022, I can't believe it's 2022, by the way, humanity has taken a major leap in scientific and technological advancements. And I totally lost my train of thought just now. It's a big night. We had a big thing today. The scientists over in Switzerland, they fired up old Sparky, also known as the Hadron Collider. They smashed particles like it was going out of style. Like particles have never been smashed before.
And they discovered like 3 new kinds of particles that have never been observed before.
It was a wild ass time over there in the Swiss Alps, let me tell you what. And we're going to talk about it tonight. And we're going to talk a little bit about the sciencey stuff. And I apologize, guys. I tried to get us a scientist or two on here, but everybody's camera shy. Nobody wants to come on a live stream. I don't know why. It's fun. It's exciting. It's a good dose of dopamine, if nothing else. I have no idea what you're talking about, blowing up the world, but I mean, I don't have my own Hadron Collider. If that's
I wasn't the one that flipped that switch. So.
Yeah, no, we weren't there. We weren't there. So don't blame us if anything goes wrong in Switzerland.
I'm in Texas. I'm not going to go over to Switzerland and make black holes.
Yeah, that's not us. We're just talking about it. And we're going to talk about a lot of stuff along the lines of, CERN, because I think CERN is one of the most misunderstood scientific advancements that we have today. Well, I could think of another, but, no, don't blame us. Thank you very much. But we're going to talk about the science a little bit. I didn't get a scientist to come on, unfortunately, so I'm going to do my best to explain it to you. Because like I was just telling Rebecca, I'm not a scientist, unfortunately. I kind of wish I was. I'm not a sciencey person, but I am good at hyper-focusing on a topic until I fully understand it to the best of my ability. So I'm going to try to relay to you a little bit of information that's pretty interesting and pretty wild about CERN, because how many people, of whoever's here in the chat, have you guys heard conspiracy theories about CERN? Have you heard scary stories about CERN? Have you heard, and hello, Jeffrey, I haven't seen you in a while. Glad you made it tonight. I mean, I think at this point, we've all heard weird stories about CERN. And it's fascinating. I have to give people that. It is interesting. And it would make a great fiction book to write a story about CERN messing up the world and all the timelines and all that stuff. But I think maybe hopefully after tonight, after I get done rambling for about an hour, you're going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, CERN's really not that scary, I guess. CERN is actually really cool. It's a super cool thing. And I think it doesn't get as much love and appreciation as it should.
Science, bitches.
It is a science, motherfuckers. So we're probably not going to do any paranormal news tonight because I totally forgot about it. In my quest for science facts today, I forgot to round up some paranormal news. But I don't know if you guys know this, I did upload a video the other day that is nothing but paranormal news. And it is a super fun video. I worked super hard on it. Everybody on TikTok loves it. I think you all will love it too if you actually go watch it. Click the like button and leave a comment underneath it to help boost it into the algorithm. If you watch Stranger Things...
I wish they were paying us something, Joshua. Seriously.
Yeah, that would be awesome. If at any point Daddy Soros wants to come along and pay me a little something to say a little something, I'm on. I'll do it. I don't care. It's never going to happen. But the offer is on the table, George Soros, if you ever, ever interested. Nothing is going to happen until they collide all three together. We're going to talk about dark matter tonight, because I think dark matter is super interesting, and I think a lot of people don't actually know what dark matter is. Do you know, Rebecca, right off, you don't have to tell me, but do you know what dark matter is in regard to CERN and all of this?
No. I have an idea, but it's a very loose idea.
It's an enigmatic thing. It's very enigmatic and elusive. But yeah, so first of all, we're going to talk about what is actually going on with CERN, because maybe you've heard chatter around the internet about the July 5th experiment, because it's been out of commission for a while, and then they switched it on today, just about, I don't know, what was that, like probably 10 hours ago by now,
something like that.
And so you've probably heard some chatter about something going on with CERN, but I bet if somebody asked you what happened with CERN today, you probably wouldn't have a solid answer. And so these are some things I tried to ask myself, like what questions would I ask? And that's how we'll approach this, and maybe that'll clarify some stuff. So if you don't know the answer to that question, let's go to a quote I took down from the live stream, because if you guys don't know, it's linked in the description as well, I think. I'm pretty sure. There was a live stream today where they showed like the whole process. I think it was like a 2-hour live stream, and you get to watch them in real time, essentially start up, fire up old Sparky, give it the gas, and take off with it, which was super cool. And it was exciting, and I'm obviously not like a physicist or anything, but it was, even for me, it was kind of exciting to watch. So from that video, I took a few notes, and one of the people who was present, the director for research and computing, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name right now because I think it's
I'm not good with all the name things.
Yeah, I mean, I think it may be never mind. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. But anyway, he was the director for research and computing. He basically explained that what's going on with CERN is that they have all of these new upgrades that they have performed over the last couple of years since it's been out of commission. Because of these upgrades, they are now able to perform more proton collisions, which is essentially what the machine does, is just, collide. That's why they call it the collider, is it's colliding and creating impact. And in splitting particles, and then they study the particles, and it's really not as scary as as it kind of seems like it is if you read Reddit stories about it. We'll get to that too, though. He said that the upgrades and what they're doing now is basically going to give them more precise measurements, especially with the Higgs boson properties. And I've heard so many people mispronounce that. It's Higgs boson, like bison, except with an O. Properties, and it will enable them to search for new and rare processes that have never been seen before. Not only has the accelerator been improved, but they also improve the detectors within it. So basically, they spiced it up to where it's just general upgrades so that they can kind of get faster, better, more accurate, more precise. And, all of the processes they do, they wanted to integrate that and just upgrade it and bring it into a more modern sense, I suppose. Did CERN do the thing? CERN absolutely did the thing. And you guys check all of your favorite childhood movies and see if the titles are the same.
Make sure you watch and see if things start to go back to the way they were before 2019. It'd be amazing if that happens.
Hell, I say we go back to like the 90s. If they can change the timelines, let's go all the way back. Let's make some different decisions.
Go back to like 1985.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. That's a great time.
The upside down. Well, Jeffrey, we're going to talk about that type of information in regard to CERN tonight. So we'll get there. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So hopefully that makes sense. So basically, they have to shut it down every few years to just do just upgrades. It's kind of like when your computer is like, hey, I need an upgrade. There's a new software update, or nothing too crazy, but in the sense that this machine is pretty amazing and profound, it is kind of a big deal. So they are essentially looking for new physics. That's one of the quotes that they use. They're looking for new physics, and I believe that they did find some new particles, which is pretty cool. And I'm not going to go too far in depth in the science stuff because, like I said, I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to pretend like I'm a scientist. I'm just going to try to give you the basic gist of it here before we get into the crazy shit. So yeah, new physics, and they're trying to understand the Big Bang Theory from a microscopic structure point of view. Now that sounds really confusing, but I heard them quite a few times in the live stream say, the first couple of seconds after the Big Bang happened, and this kind of sent me on a little bit of a search about, like. I'm not sure how to articulate this, but essentially what I ended up finding in this weird abstract thought I had when I was listening to them talk was a really fascinating answer that I think a lot of people haven't heard about CERN. Is that a lot of people think like it's, because it's so big, it's, this huge area out in the Swiss Alps, and this thing runs around and around in this big ginormous circle, and it does all this crazy stuff underground. One of the things that they said was that, yes, it is powerful for a machine of its kind, but it's actually not as powerful as the things that we see in nature all the time. So obviously it's not as powerful as the Big Bang, the giant rock that hit the earth. But as far as general weather and stuff like that, they're saying that it's actually pretty tame when it comes to nature. And that kind of made me feel like some type of way. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of people don't have like a good mental picture of, first of all, what exactly this thing is, what it does, what it's capable of doing. And I think they're trying really hard this time around to dispel rumors and myths about it. And so they put a lot of really good information out, and the video is really good. And like I said, I'm pretty sure I linked it in the description. If I didn't, you can find it pretty easily and watch it, after this stream. Let me check the comments here. Going to cause the core to leak. I don't know about that. I haven't heard of any environmental impact, so I'm not going to comment on that because I don't know for sure. You've kind of lost me on that last one, but yeah, I think maybe I know. Yeah, maybe I get that. Okay, so let's keep going. So what exactly is CERN, and what is the Large Hadron Collider? The Large Hadron Collider is a particle accelerator, and I know we've all probably heard that phrase quite a few times.
It doesn't 27 kilometers long.
Yeah, it's a big boy.
Yeah,
it's a big boy. So it's a particle collider, and it's a device that boosts subatomic particles to enormous energies in a controlled way so that scientists can study the resulting interactions. Does that make sense? I could try to break it down to me, like, I've read it several times and I've listened to him talk about it, so it makes sense to me.
It makes sense to me.
Okay, so just so that we have a good groundwork here for clarity, it's not actually something that creates alternate timelines, because I've heard so many things, so many theories today about what it actually does. Let me just read this again for the people in the back. It's a device that boosts subatomic particles to enormous energies in a controlled way so that scientists can study resulting interactions. And this is according to their own fact sheet. So at no point does this thing intentionally create like wormholes or tears in the fabric of space and time. It just doesn't do that. Now, there are some things that will come up here in a little bit about black holes, but we'll get to that because that's not really. Rebecca, have you heard the whole thing about the black hole conspiracy?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes, I have.
there's a tiny shred of truth there, but not really. The LHC's biggest moment came in 2012 with the discovery of the Higgs boson. Although widely referred to as the God particle, it's not really as awesome in itself as the name might suggest. Its huge significance came from the fact that it was the last prediction of the standard model that hadn't yet been proven. So I have some information on the standard model. I feel like that gets a little bit too sciencey, and like I said, this is not like a science lecture or a TED talk, so I'm not going to go too far into that stuff. But if you have questions, I could try to answer them. If you don't know what the standard model is, I don't think you really need to know to understand this part of it. But the Higgs boson is far from being the LHC's only discovery. And then let me pull up some links here. I'm pretty sure like they had some they've already discovered a couple of things, which is kind of neat. Let me just a second here. Okay. Pull this up. Oh, okay. That's in the wrong tab. So if you go to Cern's website, they have like an official website, and they have a ton of resources on there where you can read the news as it's happening. So any updates that they have about what's going on right now will be posted over there. And I would, if it's something you're interested in, I would definitely recommend checking it out. Just to, because this is like a really big deal as far as like science and technology. It's a huge step for mankind, I guess you could say. People are too busy kind of seeing the conspiracy side of it and not really seeing it for the scientific feat that it is.
We might finally convince the aliens that we are smart enough for them to stop and say hi.
That's never going to happen. We're the Florida of the universe. You know that.
Lock the doors, Martha.
Let's see. Yeah, so they discovered 3 new exotic particles. Let me just get like a quick rundown here. I'm not going to go into the whole thing because it once you get into this and you kind of start getting into phrases that you need to learn as you read, like quarks, you kind of need to know a little bit about those, and you need to know a little bit about like the standard model, and it's all a very interesting rabbit hole to go down. But I don't want to try to have a science class here on a live stream. So we're not going to go that far. We're just going to see if there was like a basic summary of these particles. Yeah, so it's a little bit abstract, I think. Okay, so they are exotic and they're new, and they didn't know about them until today, I guess. So that's kind of cool. Let me just close Safari so that it's not intergalactic gas prices. I mean, it is what it is. UFO fuel. I think UFOs run on like alien brain magic. I don't think they require fuel. That's just my personal opinion, though. It's conjecture, completely conjecture. So, okay, the God particle. Now, I personally think that name, and one of the articles that I read today, which I'm going to kind of read a little bit of a summary of this article, they also agree with this. The God particle as a name is very like horror movie. you know, very, it just has like scary story vibes. I think that they didn't make a good decision when it came to naming this particle the God particle, because then it really like got people's imaginations going.
Right.
And kind of inspired people to start thinking along the lines of like, oh my god, this is, some dark, secretive, experimental government cover up type thing, when really like it's just a bad name. And even one of the scientists involved agrees that it is actually a bad name. It's a poor choice. So I'm going to read from this article. I think I linked this article. Pretty sure it's probably in the description box. If not, y'all are probably not going to read it anyway. Let's be real. But, okay, this part I want to read it. He says, let's be perfectly honest. The Higgs boson and its role in the universe are not the easiest things to explain. It doesn't help that the Higgs has a horrible nickname of the God particle and is often described as being responsible for mass in the universe or something like that. The Higgs boson is indeed an important part of modern physics, but elevating it to the status of a deity seems a bit of a stretch, and the whole making mass thing isn't even the particle's most important job. Physicist Leon Lederman coined the nickname God particle in the early 90s and used it as a title of his book on the subject. So right there kind of like proves my theory that this name is a little bit on the fantastic side, and that's probably why, is because the guy was writing a book. He wanted a catchy title. The God particle is a pretty good catchy title for a book. And I think, obviously scientific stuff and commercial art are not really a match made in heaven. So that's where it got this poorly chosen name from, is a book, basically. I'm sure he thought it was just a cute name, especially since Lederman claims his publisher rejected his original idea, the goddamn particle. But the media went crazy with the name, and now it's hard to disentangle the real physics of the Higgs from the hype. I really like this article. It was a good one. But modern particle physics isn't really about the particles themselves, and that goes for the Higgs boson too. No, in the contemporary view of the rules of the universe, the primary physical object is the field, an entity that permeates all of space and time. This field can take different values at different points in space-time, and each value corresponds to the average number of particles observers see in that patch. In this view, and indeed in reality, particles can be created and destroyed at will simply by adding or removing energy from the field. Okay, one more paragraph. It's a short one. In other words, you can slap a field and make some particles. A single particle is just the minimum possible amount of energy that a field can support. Every kind of particle that scientists know of, from the electron to a photon, is associated with its own space-time filling vibrating field. So hopefully that is like a pretty good summary, just like I said, just to kind of get a basis here to start with. So maybe, hopefully, you're starting to see that this is really like, the media has really kind of contributed, I think, to blowing this out of proportion and giving Cern a little bit of a sketchy reputation. Completely unfairly, because it's really not the most exciting thing in the world if you're not a scientist. Like, it's cool in a sense of, like, if you are really into, the leaps and bounds that we're making scientifically and like medically. Like, there's a lot going on right now with medical advancements, and mRNA technology is going to change humanity and may very well cure cancer, or at least some forms of cancer. But not everybody thinks that's interesting. A lot of people think that's dull and it's boring. But then when you take something like this and you slap a scary story on it, then all of a sudden it gets interesting, but still not quite interesting enough for you to want to learn the actual process at play here.
It basically becomes a big ass game of telephone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stranger Things. I was joking that Cern is paying. I wish they'd pay us.
Yeah, no
I
doubt.
really do. That would be so cool. I'll say whatever they want for $100. They'll never do it, so you guys don't have anything to worry about, though. Montauk Chronicles. Yeah, I've got some opinions on Montauk related stuff. Not anything I want to go into tonight because I'm a little bit rusty.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up. I don't know much about it.
It's it's something I'm real bad about doing this. Like, there's not a whole lot of stuff out there that I'm not familiar with, but there are a lot of things that I know about and then I immediately forget because I don't think that they're worth remembering.
Mm-hmm.
And this one kind of falls in the category of something that I knew at one point in time. I knew a little bit or a lot about it. And then I just was like, man, I don't have like enough mental bandwidth to keep it all in my head. So I got to drop some things here and there. And it never stood out to me as something I don't know, important enough to like really hang on to mentally. But yeah, maybe we'll talk about the Montauk project in the future. So hopefully I got through that with some form of clarity, and hopefully that cleared up some questions. Now let's get to the juicy stuff, the meat and potatoes of this stream, which is the conspiracies. And hopefully I don't make a shorter work of the conspiracies as the scientific explanation because that really flew by. All that writing and text for 7 minutes of talking. Okay. I hate when that happens. That's crazy. Okay. Conspiracies. Have you, Rebecca, do you know of any conspiracies right off the top of your head about
Just the portal stuff.
yeah.
I know when they first turned it on, they didn't know exactly what was going to happen. And everybody was hypothesizing that it could end the world. And then they turned it on and nothing was different.
Yep.
Blown out of proportion.
Yeah, I remember that too. And I remember thinking like, ooh, that's kind of scary. And it's stuff like that culminating together, like all of these little bits and pieces of information kind of coming together and turning into one big scary story. Because I remember that too. And I remember being kind of a little bit freaked out. And some people out there who are not old enough to remember living through Y2K and
God.
all of the other disasters that like Zennials have lived through, like when you hear some authority or official say like, oh, no, this may end the world, you kind of take them a little more seriously than maybe the younger folks do. So there's that. But yeah, so I don't even know where to start. There's so many conspiracy theories. I guess when I think of like Cern, I think of the 2012 stuff. And what I mean by 2012 is like I could make a whole chart or like a whole spider web brainstorm of conspiracies about the year 2012. We had like the Mayan calendar conspiracy, which somehow ended up rolled into Cern. Then there was like just general end of the world conspiracies for 2012. I'm pretty sure that 2012 is probably the first time I started hearing stuff about the Mandela effect. I could be wrong on that, but I feel like I heard something about it because I was doing a lot of research on like fringe conspiracy theories around 2012 and 13 because I was co-hosting the original Paranormally Correct, the radio show. And we covered a large variety of underground paranormal, metaphysical, supernatural, science and technology things. And so I really feel like, but maybe it's a Mandela effect that I think it was, you know what I mean? Maybe that in and of itself was a Mandela effect. I don't
Some
know.
people say that 2012 that the world did end, and it's been a simulation ever since then.
Yeah, I've also
It's
heard
another
that
one that
we're in
comes up.
hell.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that's true.
Yeah. There's also a conspiracy theory floating around out there right now that says that, oh, let's see, how does it go? Something about how our calendar is off, but some other culture has a more accurate calendar, and that calendar aligns with the Mayan calendar, and that somehow is solid evidence that the world did end in 2012, but it actually was 2012 is the wrong year on paper. Does that make sense? But I can't
Yeah.
remember all the details of that one because, again, I can't remember literally everything. I have to drop a few things here and there so I can remember the good stuff. But that one's a really strange and really oddly specific conspiracy theory, but it's also kind of wound up with CERN as well. It's crazy what people are blaming CERN for. Oh my God. I was thinking about that today. I was like, God, everybody just throws everything off on CERN. It's like, my dog went missing. It must have been because of CERN, or,
Well, and before CERN, it was HARP.
exactly, HARP.
It's
And
just things that people don't understand. They're going to
right.
throw into the paranormal
Yeah.
field.
Yeah. And that's kind of shitty. I mean, I feel like that's kind of shitty. Like, and here's why. I think that, for people who have spent a lot of time in the paranormal community as a researcher, and like when you really have a lot of research under your belt as far as like ghosts and aliens and cryptids and stuff like that, then when you see these fringe conspiracy theorists come in and start kind of trying to tangle everything up together, I think then and only then you can kind of see how vastly different these two worlds are. The world of conspiracies and, things like end of the world, CERN's changing the timeline type of thing versus like here's some hair stuck to a tree from a Bigfoot that lives in the area. Like it's such a different world. It doesn't go together at all. And this is something that I think I've touched on quite a few times before, which is that like conspiracy theorists love to migrate into the paranormal community. It's like we're not the same. We're not the same people.
No.
We're not the same researchers. We're not on the same playing field here. And I would always like to just make sure that there is a distinction. There's a line in the sand, guys.
Absolutely.
Conspiracy theorists don't really belong in the paranormal world. Pack your bags and get out. This is our tree house and you're not allowed. But seriously though, so I'm sure you guys are familiar with some of these 2012 end of the world things. So then we get to like, they're kind of like the conspiracy theorists are kind of infiltrating science a little bit at the same time, right? But only like the hearsay science, not actual hardcore science that people go to school forever to learn, but just the weird stuff that you could pick up in a few sentences off of Reddit. So, like, everybody's heard of the theory of relativity. Somehow they use a skewed version of that plus CERN equals multiple dimensions or alternate realities. And I think that one's just like kind of a mess. Are you familiar at all with like the multiple timelines and multiverses and
I'm a comic book reader. Of course I am.
right? Well, that's another thing too. Is like a lot of this stuff exists in fiction, right? Like Jeffrey a few minutes ago was talking about like Stranger Things. Well, writers do tend to take things out of reality and like use them, kind of incorporate them into storylines. And I do this myself.
Absolutely.
Take things from reality and put your own spin on it to make it scarier, um, to just kind of like add some type of realism, creepiness. Uh, to whatever it is that you're writing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it is able to cross back over into reality and become true. But I think we see a lot of that happening with CERN too. So yeah, Stranger Things, I know that they base that a lot on, older, I don't know what you'd even categorize those cases, mystery cases, I guess you could say. But does that mean that they have any value in real life, like as far as truth or, authenticity? No, not really. I mean, writers are strange creatures, and we like to jumble things up and mix things up and put our own spin on it and then put it back out there, to get people to think about things, just because it's fun and it's interesting and it's cool.
Well, it's more immersive to
Mm-hmm.
introduce a person to something that could be reality, and reality goes wrong.
Right.
And it makes all logic just what's the word I'm looking for? God, my brain. It makes you deeply think about what would happen if this happened.
Yeah.
That's the way I've always written as well.
Yeah, exactly. And Jeffrey says, think about the equipment, etc. They're not showing us. They actually have a lot of pictures, Jeffrey. They have, like, if you watch that live stream they did today, they did have to use a lot of CGI models to kind of demonstrate some of the points that they were making. But for the most part, you can see a lot of the pictures of the inner workings of that machine and, what it looks like. So it's really cool. I posted one of them over on the Facebook page. But he goes on to say, I wonder if CERN is a joke just to get us on the wrong path. CERN is actually a pretty amazing scientific feat. It's not a joke. I mean, it's a scientific advancement, and that's like, it's cool. It's awesome that we have this technology. And I really wish I could have got a scientist or someone who's a little more knowledgeable about the ins and outs of this stuff, to come on and talk about why exactly, and kind of do a deep dive on that. Maybe in the future, maybe I'll find somebody. But no, it's an amazing scientific project, and it can teach us so much about the universe and about matter and how we exist and how other forms of matter exist.
Yeah. And if you think about it, anything as big scientifically as CERN, or anything that deals with government secrets or trade secrets or scientific evidence that hasn't been put into theory yet, you've got to have some kind of operational security, and you can't just put everything out there on the table. We don't need, people building a makeshift particle collider in their backyard.
Yeah.
Which, seriously, there was a kid that built a nuclear reactor in his backyard, in a shed.
Yeah.
And
people do that. I mean,
yeah,
it's dangerous.
yeah, it's very dangerous. You don't know what's going to happen. Like, there could have been a mini meltdown in that kid's backyard. There could be some big explosion if somebody tried to build something else in a warehouse, and other people's lives, and trade secrets and copywritten, trademarked, etc. things don't need to be leaked to the general public.
Yeah, exactly. That's very true. And think about it this way, guys. Like, if you've ever worked at a factory, like one time, a long time ago, I worked at the Hot Pocket factory where they make Hot Pockets. And you know that they are like crazy intense about, like, first of all, you're not allowed to take things on the floor because you're dealing with food. But second of all, they don't want anybody to know what their machines look like. They're crazy about that fact, about nobody can know what. Now, some of the machines that, they're okay with sharing information about to an extent. But a lot of the machines, they're like, oh no, this is proprietary. You can't see it. You can't, like a lot of factories have you sign non-disclosure agreements, which is crazy. And then, you get in there and you expect it to be some type of weird, crazy, sentient robot. And it's just like, some glass and metal and like a conveyor belt. And you're like, well, what the hell is so special about this? Well,
It directly affects their bottom line.
right, exactly. So it's not crazy to think that scientists who have spent this long building a contraption as amazing as CERN, like they don't want everybody to just know all the ins and outs of it. They probably don't want anybody else to have one.
They've been dealing with this for what, 70 years?
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
think
yeah,
so.
that's 70 years of research and manpower and blood, sweat, and tears and degrees and PhDs and stuff
Yeah.
that people spent huge amounts of time on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would want to protect my stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah, and it's totally reasonable. I mean, totally reasonable to want to keep some of that stuff to yourself. And does that mean that there's like some malicious reason? No, it just probably means that like this is their baby, this is their pet project. To us, to the rest of the world, it's a scary machine that we don't fully understand, but to them, it's their life's work. It's like their magnus opus.
Yeah. Now, if they
So
were leaking pollutants into the nearby lake or something, yeah, that's something people need to know.
right, and
But
and that when stuff like that happens, then that usually is the malicious reason. So if we find out at some point that this thing leaks, I don't know, transmission fluid and kills the ducks in a pond next door, then like, oh God, that's the bad part. That's the malicious part that we were all theorizing about. But it doesn't mean that they like, turn on a Stargate and a whole bunch of 8 foot tall demons come through and try to kill humanity. It's, probably more realistic.
dude, I would love for Stargate to actually happen. I would love for Stargate to happen. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if they can change anything about life on this planet right now, I say go for it. But they
Oh,
didn't.
hell yeah.
They had a chance today and they didn't do it. We're still here. So what's up, Cern? What's up? When are you going to fix this shit?
Yeah, no shit.
But yeah, so I think it may sound harsh to say this. I don't know, because you guys know I don't have a very good filter sometimes, but I think science scares people. I think it a lot of times comes down to something that simple. People don't understand it, like I mean, as much reading as I've done about CERN, I still don't fully understand it. I understand it a little bit, but not like the scientists that work there do, right? And so you take people who know nothing about it and have read nothing about it except maybe they've heard some conspiracy theories and maybe they saw a picture of the facility on TV, then it feels real to them when they hear like, well, I heard this crazy story and now I'm looking at this crazy image. Holy shit, it must mean that both things are true. You know what I mean? It's almost like if you hear a bullshit story and then you see some type of evidence that it could possibly be a true story, then it solidifies it in your brain as possible. But in reality, it's just that you don't understand the science well enough to know what it is, what it does, what it's capable of, what it was built for. Um, Deep underground military base. Yeah, I mean, Jeffrey, give me a citation for a Stargate. Let's look into it right now because, like, as far as I know, we don't have any cool shit like that going on. I mean, and that's like, well, I mean, I don't even know at this point. Like, I'm trying to break this down and trying to explain it and trying to tell you guys, like, I know we don't all understand it. It seems kind of weird and scary. You kind of wonder, what are they doing over there? Why are they being secretive? There are logical explanations for all of these questions. And there are answers for a lot of these questions. So, but I think people just sometimes are afraid of technologic advancements. I think it's intimidating. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, when you get down to the meat and potatoes of it, Science is what makes the world go round. Literally. Science affects our everyday lives.
Yeah, I mean, science gave us antibiotics and microwaves.
Right? I
You
couldn't live
know,
without my microwave.
yeah. um,
Very thankful for antibiotics too, especially since this whole compromised immune system thing.
yeah. So I think when you point to like Iraq, for example, I've heard a lot of like crazy stories about Iraq. I've had people come on the live stream and tell absolute bullshit stories about Iraq. I'll tell you what I think. Hello, FBI Frank. I'm so glad you're here. Um, I wish I could see it in person too. I think of like the giant of Kandahar. I don't know if I pronounce it Kandahar.
Kandahar.
Yeah, I think of like that story, for example, and I think of like the giants in the museums, and they say like, oh, the Smithsonian keeps the good shit in the back, and like, yeah, it's an awesome story, it's an exciting story, but why? Like, what's the point? And then humans are storytellers. People just like to tell stories, and that's kind of leading me into like I don't want to skip ahead too much, but the funny thing about CERN is that a lot of the confusion about CERN originated on Reddit. We have Reddit to blame for for starting all these weird conspiracy theories about CERN.
Reddit is the ultimate troll.
Reddit is an amazing thing, but it conversely is the most awful thing. It's both. It's like, I don't know. It depends on how you use it.
We have Reddit to thank for that frickin' Dogman picture from Amarillo.
Yeah. I never did go back to see how downvoted I got for trying to debunk it in the comments before it got out of hand. But oh, by the way, let's take a quick detour real quick. Did anybody happen to see, like, Rebecca, I don't know if you saw this, you probably wouldn't have, but somebody left a comment on that Amarillo Dogman picture video that I did. And it was a very condescending comment, very much like, oh, you think you did something, but here's what's actually happening. And then this guy proceeds to tell me that it was some type of wild woodland creature. And I was like, bro.
I don't know if he's been to Amarillo recently, but there's no woodlands up there. It is literally flat as shit.
Woodland creature, I guess, is my own term specifically, but I forget
There's
what animal.
No place for anything to hide.
I think he said like a kit fox?
A kitsune?
No, it was like a what did he say? I think it was like kit fox, and I was like, I don't know if I've ever heard of that.
Never heard of that. I've heard of kitsune, but
oh, okay. A kit fox is a fox species that inhabits arid and semi-arid regions of southwestern United States and northern Mexico. They're small creature. They're cute. I don't know. They're just like a little fox. And he's like, it's a fox and it's climbing the fence. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, I analyzed the picture. This object was not in the picture when the picture was shot by the camera. But I'm getting that a lot lately. People seem to be really eager to correct me about things that I know. Like, I know what I'm talking about here, guys. Don't correct me. That kind of gets on my nerves a little. But yeah, so there are now alternate explanations for that goddamn Amarillo picture that involve kid foxes, apparently, which it's just like, whatever. Believe whatever you want. I don't care. I try to tell you guys the truth. You don't want the truth, have at it. Smithsonian is a government-owned institution. Yeah.
Thank you, Sock. There is no statement ever that has been so true. Military places, they don't, at least the ones I've worked at, everything is out of date. Everything is from the mid-90s. Everything's awful. It's awful. right down to the computer programming that they use to keep medical records across all branches. It is so out of date that it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Any type of government related job is like that. I was a state worker for a long time, and the computers that we used were absurd. I mean, I know that's not necessarily the exact same thing, but it's along the same lines. And yeah. Sock, you always come with facts. But yeah, I think, like, going back to the thing with Iraq and like the giant that apparently allegedly lives in a cave, I think we like to pick areas that we know aren't necessarily very accessible, and that's where we use those areas as the set piece for our wildest conspiracy theories and our wildest stories. Like, the North Pole, like, not everybody gets to just go there. So it's the best place to say that that's where the world ends. And there's like an ice wall around the edge of the earth. And there's like, I don't know, whatever it is they think is under the ground up there. And like, whatever else. And then like the Mariana Trench. That's where Cthulhu lives. That's my own conspiracy theory, by the way.
That place terrifies me. Just the thought of it terrifies me.
I know you don't like the thought of water. But you know what I mean? Like, the more desolate and isolated and harder to access the place is, the more mysterious it becomes. It has mystique, it has intrigue. And the Swiss Alps is a place where, a lot of American people who get on Reddit and tell wild conspiracy theories, they're not ever going to get to go to the Swiss Alps. So to them, it's kind of one of those places. And like, same thing for people who think there's a giant of Kandahar. I think when you look at these types of conspiracy theories, they sort of debunk themselves a little bit. And we all like to think, that the government has like underground bases and like scary stuff going on. And they like, so people think that that's where they breed dog man. I had one of those comments this week and I threw up in my mouth a little, by the way. You remember Jeffrey Nadolny saying like the Onion, the breeding center.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. So there was somebody in my comments talking about breeding centers and that Cern was creating dog men. And I was like, oh, it's funny that you mentioned Cern because I'm fixing to do a live stream about it. So we're going to talk about that. Dark matter. Let's talk about dark matter. And we'll come back to a few things because I'm skipping ahead a little bit while we're on this topic. So apparently there is a theory that, and this again is conspiracy theorists crossing over into paranormal territory. Don't do that. Just don't do it. We don't like it. We don't want you here, French conspiracy theorists. I'm going to gatekeep it forever. A lot of people think that dark matter refers to demons and monsters. And that's not what dark matter is. But I've got some videos that I'm going to pull up, and hopefully you'll be able to hear them. Hopefully we don't have that weird problem, the glitch problem tonight, because there's a few videos I really want you guys to see, and I want to talk about them. But some people literally think that when these physicists are talking about dark matter being discovered by way of Cern, that they're referring to things like Dogman. I'll just give that a minute to soak in. Does anybody believe that? Anybody in the comments? Do you guys think that that's the case? Just curious. I'm not like, not sucking like shit on you or anything. I'm just like, I'm curious. Is this a widely believed, like, across the entire Dogman community? Because I know Dogman people believe in a lot of wild shit. But this one, I think, took the cake because not only like, it's like there's so many lines getting blurred, right? Like you have all of these categories of the unknown. We have like supernatural and metaphysical and Wouldn't tell you if I did. Okay, that's fine. Um, keep it to yourself, Joshua Laney. But like all the, it's like everything's getting squished together: metaphysical, supernatural, science, Einstein, CERN, particle colliders, Dogman. Like Dogman does not belong in this situation, guys. He does. This is not about Dogman. But yet, apparently, it. You know, like I said, even someone in my comments this week was trying to tell me that Dogman came from CERN. So apparently, I'm going to guess that this is kind of like a prominent belief in the Dogman community. Maybe, I don't know. Let me see. I think I could pull up a couple videos here real quick. Yeah, so I didn't really know for sure what they meant by dark matter. I thought they just meant like matter that they didn't understand, like something they couldn't identify, maybe, you know, because there's like the whole, and again, I'm not that well versed in scientific stuff. Like I try, but I'm not a scientist, guys. I just know what I read on science websites. Okay, so let me read you a couple things here. Only about 5% of the matter in the universe is visible. So this actually has more to do with visibility than.
Well, yeah, dark matter is measured by its gravitational pull instead of the luminescence, which is what most of space is measured by, like light years.
Right. So the rest of it is of an unknown nature and is referred to as dark matter, which is about 27%, and dark energy, which is about 68%. Unlike normal matter, dark matter does not interact with the electromagnetic force.
Right.
This means it does not absorb, reflect, or emit light, making it extremely hard to spot. Basically, people are misconstruing the concept of dark matter with the supernatural, is what I'm getting at here. Which I think, like, to me, that was a big revelation. Maybe it's not to anybody else, but it kind of like, it dawned on me. I was like, holy shit. So, like, all of these conspiracies that I'm like looking up and reading about, when they're referring to this dark matter and how it's going to negatively affect you. Like, no, we're just talking about shit like space, you know, like it's not scary. It's dark matter. It's not the devil. It's not literally demons. I found this to be extremely exciting and very much eye-opening. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just, to me, it was this interesting. I don't know.
No, it is interesting. It just shows everybody how much we don't know
right
about the universe that we live in.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I think everybody, we all have things where like we know the word, we've heard it used a million times. Like, I'm trying to think of a really common example. Like, okay, this is a weird example, but go with me on this, guys. Deep vein thrombosis. We've all heard of it, right? But what is it technically? On a technical level, what is the technical definition of a DVT? You know what I mean? Weird things like that. Like, we all know some old lady who's like, oh, I got deep vein thrombosis. And like, we see through context clues and we see through like chains of events. We understand something based on our observations. But then if someone asks you to actually define it, then you're like, oh, wait a second. I don't know if I actually can define exactly what this concept is. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, let's put it in a different term here, like a different example. I'm thinking like a car example. Mofo, you know lots about cars. What is a common car example where people hear it all the time and they think they know what it means, but then when they come into a shop and you tell them about it, they're like, wait a second, is that what that is? Is that what that means? But hopefully you guys know dark matter 2525. I'll have to look that up. Is that, I'm thinking of dark waters. Yeah, I know who dark waters is. I don't know who dark matter is. But hopefully that makes sense. Like, we all know of things in our everyday life that we're familiar with and we think we understand them. But then if somebody were to ask us, okay, but like, what does it really mean? We can't tell them. So, and this was the case for me with dark matter and dark energy. I've heard those phrases. I've heard people talk about it. I thought I knew what it was. I was like, oh, well, it's just like, it's the stuff they don't know about yet, probably. But then when I actually got to asking myself questions about like how I wanted to do this stream, how I wanted to structure it as far as like making it educational and fun at the same time, it's like, well, what is dark matter? Like, what is the literal definition of dark matter? Okay, so many examples. Okay, never mind. Well, I think they know what I'm getting at here, hopefully. I know I kind of get on some like abstract rambles from time to time, but hopefully it makes sense. So let's see, where was I? Yeah, so people are basically misconstruing the concept of dark matter with the supernatural or paranormal. They think that when the scientists are saying that they'll be able to, you know, see more into, like they'll be able to open particles to where they can explore dark matter, they think that that means that they're going to open a stargate and let the demons come out. And so going from that, I want to pull up a couple videos. And also, they think that Dogman is dark matter. They also think that dark matter is defined as entities that are escaping from an alternate or parallel universe during previous CERN experiments, which I found that to be like I don't know, mind-boggling. But yeah, so they think it's like a Stargate where demons come through, basically. Okay, give me just a second. I'll pull up some videos. Oh, which one to pull up first? I got a couple of doozies. Let's start mild. I think this one's not super crazy. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear this. Oh, wait a second. Let me do it this way.
I wanted to come on and let you know what
Can everybody hear her?
my guides are saying about the Cern Hadron Collider activation that's happening on July 5th. Now, I will tell you, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist. However, obviously as a spiritual medium who works with energy every day, I teach the art of manifestation. I have a strong belief in quantum physics, in the quantum field, and in energy.
Okay, so it's not really valid to say that I believe in quantum physics, like you would say, I believe in God. Quantum physics are real.
They're real. It's real. It's something that you can actually study and get evidence of directly. So
right. So there can be a little bit of nuance. We're not going to go into like a semantics game here, but as far as saying I believe in quantum physics, you don't have to. They're real. They're there. It's not a do you believe in it or do you not believe in it type of thing. But let's let her talk a little more.
Manipulation. I won't go into the historical detail of the CERN experiments, you can look that up, but basically there have been two prior ones in 2012 and 2016. A lot of people have reported things like the Mandela Effect happening since those experiments. I myself have experienced the Mandela Effect, and I will say this, in 2012, that is when I had my spiritual awakening and came into my mediumistic abilities.
Okay, let me stop her right there. She just did a thing linguistically that I see a lot of people do when they don't have a clear mental picture of what it is they're talking about. And this is going to be hard to explain, so bear with me. Maybe you've done it. Maybe you know what I'm talking about already. Have you ever been in a situation where maybe somebody, like maybe, you know how like kids like to ask a million questions to the point that you don't even know how to answer it anymore? And maybe like, you kind of start to realize along the way that you don't know as much about a particular topic as you think you do. So you kind of start glossing over things. So she did this thing where she started with the historical events or the history of CERN, and then she immediately jumped straight to like Mandela Effect. Okay, well, how do we go from point A to point B? She didn't give us any vital details of how we go from point A to point B. Does that make sense?
Right.
When people don't understand a topic, they tend to do this. And I've seen this in every video that I've read or that I've watched today. Every article, conspiracy article that I've read about it, there's no linking information, I guess is the easiest way to explain this. When you understand a topic, you're able to verbally link kind of a chain of events. It's like just basic processing of the brain. So, we'll say like, let me try to think of an example. I don't know if I even need an example. Maybe that made it clear enough. I'm just trying to make sure that I clarify here. She's just kind of jumping from talking point to talking point without ever linking the thoughts together. Okay, well, let's let her go on for a second, and then
I'm really intrigued actually by everybody's different take on this. Some people look at it from a very scientific perspective. Other people look at it from a spiritual perspective. And yet again, there are many people who look at it from a biblical perspective.
So there's absolutely no space for the Bible or spirituality in regard to CERN or like, physics.
Right.
It's like comparing apples and dragons.
Right.
Like I have some apples and look at this dragon compared to this apple. Like what does that have to do with? Like there's no connection there. Again, showing that she doesn't truly understand what it is that she's talking about.
So the scientific premise to the experiments is to open up gateways or portals to other.
Okay. Oh God, this is giving me like, oh my God.
This is giving me like those vibes I get whenever somebody wants me to debate over something, and I'm just like, I don't want to because this is stressing me out.
Yeah. Sock said it best.
Yep, definitely.
Other timelines and dimensions. The concern or fear that many have is what is the energy that is going to enter the Earth plane from those other dimensions. Ironically, this activation is also timed right around July 4th and 5th holiday when many people will be drinking and lowering their vibration.
God, dramatic sigh. I don't even know where to begin. She ain't even halfway done yet. And I'm just like, oh my God, no. Rebecca, how are you feeling about this so far?
Like I said, this is stressful. I have known people exactly like this. My brother is a lot like this. Yeah, except his goes the extreme biblical direction instead of the spiritualism direction.
Right. And I don't know. Somebody told me on TikTok this week that I was like being too harsh and making fun of Carol over her skinwalker sighting. And if you guys watched the video I uploaded, you know what I'm talking about. So just to be clear here, I'm not trying to make fun of her on a personal level. What I find preposterous about this is that forget this woman as like, she don't even have to be in this video. It could just be text. This is not about her. This is not a personal thing about her or anybody that believes like her. It's the fact that we live in an age of information. Everything that we could ever want to know is at our fingertips. Type it into a phone or a computer. Everybody's got a phone in their pocket. Everybody can Google anything. You know what I mean? And yet somehow we still end up with people who think that a particle collider meant to help study particles somehow has something to do with God, the Bible, and human vibration in terms of like, I don't know, an amalgamation of Eastern philosophies, like chakras and like how many things are balled up together in this one video? It's crazy. And it's like, okay, if you believe in like spiritualism stuff and you believe in like lowering your vibration or raising, like maybe there is a vibration to humans, maybe our energy vibrates, I suppose, I don't know. But like how many different philosophies and religions do you have to mix up in one video to make a very I don't know, a dull point that doesn't even make a whole lot of sense. Like it's stuff like this that really gets to me about like we're talking about science. Like where does any of this fit into physics? Let me read the comments real quick.
And it should make you wonder that. It should make you wonder what the side effects could be.
Yeah.
But anything that happens has to obey the laws of physics, unless it's alien. I mean, that's just the greatest term for alien, is something that goes against the laws of physics.
Right. So let's let her carry on here for a second. And I'll try to make a more articulate point. There's just so much. It's like my wires are getting crossed and I'm like short circuiting.
Ironically, this is also timed around our Sirius Gateway portal activation, which is from July.
Oh, another thing that I wanted to point out that I forgot about is that it's bold of her to assume that the people in Switzerland give two shits about Americans' 4th of July holiday. Just throw that out there.
Yeah.
Like all of those scientists from all over Europe give a shit about drunk Americans. Like, oh my God.
3rd to July 7th. Now, Sirius is our spiritual sun, so that is said to bring us to higher levels of consciousness.
So now here she goes. She's including astrology. So let's see. What do we got? We got science, we got physics, we got the Bible, we got Eastern philosophy of vibrations and higher selves. We've got astrology. How much more shit? Oh, mediumship, psychic mediumship. How much more shit can she wind up in this video, guys? Seriously, like, are you guys seeing what I'm talking about here?
Yep.
Because she's literally throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks at this point. That's the point, really, ultimately, I think I'm trying to make.
And mass awakening. So here's what my guides have to say about this. A month long before this even happened, my guides were asking me to share with the people in my spiritual community.
Also, I think we just crossed over into Native American belief territory.
Community, all about accessing our highest timeline and vibration for the purpose of manifestation and bringing ourselves to higher levels of consciousness. So those of us that have already awakened and already have a strong self-awareness of our vibration, our frequency, and the energy we emit are really in a point of power here. They've basically explained to me that while a mass amount of energy at a certain frequency is going to be emitted, what it's going to do, it's going to enhance whatever your launching pad of your frequency is. So in other words, if you're in a lower vibrational state, it may enhance that lower vibrational state. But if you're in a high vibrational state, you may have access to one of your highest timelines of consciousness.
Do what now? Okay.
I have no idea what she just said.
I feel like I should have been making a list as she went of all of the things that she just crowded into one theory. Can you just imagine? Like, I would love to show those scientists over in Switzerland this video and just see their faces. I don't know.
I don't think that would have made it this long into her little video.
Yeah. It's hard to come up with a rebuttal to this because she's all over the place. She's literally all over the place. I'm telling you, every single religion, every philosophy, every, ancient worship practice, like she's just throwing it all out there. And it's just I don't know, it just comes across as like a mess. Now, I know a lot of people are saying very similar things to this. I saw a lot of people today who were like, now is the time to manifest things that you want in life because we have this thing that's going on that we don't really understand. That's however many thousand miles away, and they're going to flip a switch on it today, and it's gonna disrupt the power of human existence and all this stuff. I don't know where this theory is coming from. I'm gonna guess like this probably goes more in like a new age direction, like crystals and things like that. I can't think of new age without thinking about crystals. I don't know about crystals personally. A lot of people believe in them. That's like whatever.
Well, my sister-in-law could tell you anything about any rock on the face of the planet.
I mean, I love rocks. Like, rocks are pretty.
A gemologist or a geologist, or I don't know, something.
Yeah.
And she'll go on and on and on about the properties of each stone, or each stone that's made into beads that she makes into bracelets and stuff. I mean, she exhausts me with how much she knows about it.
Yeah, I know crystals and rocks and stuff like that are like a big thing right now, and I've just never heard them combined with all of these other things. Like, my God, I don't even know. I'm speechless. I thought I had more to say about this video. This is a good example, though.
It speaks for itself.
It does. But this is a good example of how a lot of people are perceiving the activity at CERN right now, which, I mean, come on, guys. It's a scientific experiment with a scientific device. It doesn't, there's really nothing in relation to like any of these things. I mean, now I'm not one to instantly dismiss astrology. Back when I used to do the old Paranormally Correct, when it was a radio show, one of the other hosts on our network actually a couple of them were astrologists, and they were really fascinating, intelligent people, and they did like star charts, and they could do predictions, and they could tell you based on the time and date of your birth. They could tell you all sorts of interesting things about yourself. I think that stuff is fascinating. I think maybe there could be something to astrology. I don't know. It's not an area that I know a lot about. But I think when you are like mixing and jumbling all of this together, all because somewhere in the world there's a scientific experiment going on, I think then you start to get into like just crazy fringe conspiracy theory stuff. And, one begets another in the conspiracy world. So when one person invents a conspiracy, another person, and like you said, Rebecca, at the beginning of the show, it's like telephone. It's like a game of telephone. One conspiracy begets another, and they change. Yep. And they evolve, and they become worse.
And any facts that you had regarding what the initial thought was have become so watered down that you don't even know the facts behind the real story.
Right. Now that's a good point, Josh. Let me pull that up real quick. That is a good point. I don't know if they have any interest, as far as that kind of thing goes. I don't know if they really have an agenda outside of just like science. And that's something that I haven't heard anybody talk about. So I don't know. But yeah, like things like that are better questions than, oh, what is this going to do to my human vibration energy today? And guys, if you believe like this lady on the screen, like this CERN's going to be running for a couple of years. So get ready. If you think that it's going to vibrate you on a spiritual level, you're going to be vibrating for a while, because they're not going to shut it off for like how many years? I think, what was it? I think I read like I don't know, a couple. I'm not sure.
It's been off for 3.
Right, it's been off for 3, but now that it's running, it's going to run for like 4 or something like that. So, I don't know. If you're vibrating, I guess you better get used to it.
Yeah.
Let me pull up another video here. We're all going to blip. Yeah. Hopefully I can better articulate some thoughts. That one scrambled my brain. I'm sorry. That was probably a bad one to share because it just totally scrambled my brain. And I was just like, what? Too much.
You need to hear this. I just got a really interesting download.
Okay, by download, she means like metaphysical, like spiritual, like in terms of, psychic related type stuff. So let's hear what she has to say.
So we know that CERN is powering up the Hadron Collider. They're trying to learn about antimatter, dark energy, all of that.
In all of the reading that I've done, I haven't heard anybody use the term antimatter. Rebecca, is that a term you're familiar with in regard to science?
Somewhat. Let's see.
Because again, I'm not a scientist and I'm not, purporting to be a scientist. I'm good at reading.
I'm going to go by the definition as it's given.
Come follow me.
Antimatter is defined as matter composed of the antiparticles or partners of the corresponding particles in ordinary matter.
Yeah, so that's a definition I would have to read at least 3 times in order to chunk it in my brain and start to gain a mental image. I'm not entirely sure how that fits into this equation or scenario, but I'm gonna.
I think
you don't either.
I think it sounds interesting because it's a word that people don't really approach scientifically, because you hear something like antimatter and the first thing that comes to your mind is like science fiction.
Yeah, like the God particle.
Yeah,
it's a spooky phrase or a spooky word or a spooky term that kind of like gets your creative mind going. All right, let's check out the rest of this.
And knowing that our world consists of matter and antimatter, and our physical bodies consist of matter.
Well, now, again, I've never heard that our world consists of antimatter, but okay.
And antimatter, the things that are prevalent in the spirit world, the things that we can't see, that's all antimatter, right?
No, it's not.
No,
it's not. No, antimatter is scientific, and it is here and real and everywhere around us.
Sock. Now listen,
I finally gave in and got TikTok as well. So.
It is the most amazing social platform. I promise you will love it. And if you have a TikTok, Joshua Laney, I'm talking to you. Come follow me, ParanormallyCorrect. Yeah. So this girl is definitely throwing around a term inaccurately without taking the time to put it in the correct context. So let's see what else she has to say.
And I believe that this is one of the reasons why they're doing this. We know that there is a mass awakening happening on a collective level on this planet right now. And to keep the kind of world that we have running right now, they don't want humanity to reach the highest possible timeline.
Okay, a couple of questions. Do we though? And also, who is they?
I was about to say, I need some awakening because I'm tired all the time.
Right.
All the hours of every day.
I mean, my espresso's hit me right now, so I'm sweating and I've already got to pee. But as far as awakenings, this is another term. This is another one. We need there has to be a name for these types of, I mean, I know they're buzzwords, but and like you can use any type of words as buzzwords, but like what do people mean when they say awakening? There's a global awakening, there's an awakening among us, or like what are you talking about? Like socially, or like, are you becoming aware of social injustices? Are you becoming aware of the fact that there are aliens? Like, there's so many things that you could awaken to, you know what I mean? So
Right.
again, it's another vague, I feel like it's an escape hatch term also, in a way.
It's like an umbrella term. You
Mhm.
can put it over anything, just like antimatter. It sounds spooky, so you can make it spooky.
Right.
A general mass awakening. It sounds like, some plot to a bad B movie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we had the ominous they. So we know it's a conspiracy because we have an ominous they, an undefined, shadowy they. Let's see what else she has to say.
So what happens when you start messing around with dark matter? They are trying to open up different dimensions and different.
Okay, well, they're not messing around with dark matter, first of all. They're
not even measuring dark matter.
I think they're going to like try to learn things about dark matter, but again, she's using the term dark matter inaccurately.
Right.
Because I'm going to make a guess here that, she doesn't know what the actual term, like if you ask her, what is dark matter though? Like what actually is it? She wouldn't have the definition that I have here that I researched today, which again, the rest of it's like, dark energy and dark matter are basically like, they don't conform to the electromagnetic force field of the world or the planet. And I don't think that's how she's using it. So, but let's go on a little bit.
Portals, which ultimately is going to allow different dark entities and energies to enter this dimension.
Okay, see, this is the theory that I was talking about earlier. This is where a lot of people start getting completely off the track or off the rails. They are under the assumption that dark matter and dark energy equals paranormal entity or evil creature or evil entity or demons or dogman or maybe even Sasquatch. But nobody's like opening a floodgate and letting monsters come into our reality. So just throw that out there.
When other dark antimatter enters this dimension, it is going to trigger all of the.
So now we have dark antimatter.
Dark antimatter that is collectively on this planet. So people that are living in an extremely low state of consciousness and a really low vibration, I think they're trying to trigger their dark matter.
My IQ just dropped 20 points.
I wish I could run it back and just play that chunk again, because that was a wild one. Again, we're going back to like human vibrations, human frequencies, which I'm pretty sure belongs in Eastern philosophies. And then we're incorporating it with a lot of buzzwords and a lot of spooky words and misused terminology. And this is what I was talking about. This is what I found to be like such a revelation, is that this is where the conspiracies are really getting off the ground with things like Cern. And I just want to, like, here's a thought. Here's something to think about. I bet you there are probably all sorts of scientific experiments that maybe are actually a little bit scary, like for real, definitely scarier than Cern going on in the rest of the world, and we just don't know about it. So, but it's funny how, like, given that there, the world's a big place, there's lots of people doing lots of things, so we don't always know about all of it. So then, like, how are those experiments affecting these people if they don't even know that these experiments exist? They're not affected by it, but they should be based on their own logic. You know what I mean? So it's like, you only think that Cern is affecting you spiritually and in terms of your vibrations because you know about Cern, or you know a little bit about Cern. Do you see what I mean? Because, like, I'm sure that there are other weird experiments going on in the world, but nobody's talking about those.
Well, I'm going to double down and say that I am more terrified of the human beings in the world than of the scientific experiments in the world.
Yeah. Same here, for sure. But it's just crazy how many people are like entangling this whole scientific process, which, you know, is like the antithesis of all things spiritual because it's science. There, you know, it's like it's all tangled up now with like all of these different theories and spirit guides and like portals and black holes, and but we're still going to get to the black hole thing because there is a little shred of truth to the black hole thing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to explain that one very well. Let's see. Is there... Thought I had a piece of information for this particular video, but I think I don't. Maybe, actually. You know, even on the facts page on the Cern website, they tell people like, no, we're not doing any of this crazy shit you all think we're doing. He even tried to put it in the facts section. I just thought that was kind of funny and also a little bit sad.
It's sad.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Now, last time I heard, because I made a video several years ago where I talked about the Mandela Effect. I think I've made a couple of Mandela Effect videos over the years, but one of them in particular, I mentioned something about Cern, and a lot of people were quick to tell me like, oh, no. Mandela Effect and Cern don't have anything to do with each other. I was like, oh, well, that's weird because that's what I read on Reddit. I thought that's what you guys believed, was that Cern had some type of responsibility for creating Mandela effects. A lot of people told me no, it wasn't the case. But I guess nowadays we're back on the yes, it is train. And I don't know. It's just crazy. It's like this is why we can't have nice things, you know?
Right. Humans think they're so enlightened, and you know, the vast majority of us we are nowhere near being enlightened. We find out new things every day about everything.
Yeah. I don't believe
I think
the
you're
Mandela
absolutely right,
effect.
Sock.
Yeah, I don't think the Mandela effect is real, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. It's there's a fine line between like I'm all for believing in things like philosophies and spiritual things and stuff, like go for it, you know, but I just feel like people should have a little bit more concern about like at least stay on topic. At least don't jumble everything up together. If you're gonna, I don't know, put your beliefs out there as like, you know, all of these videos so far, they've had this common thread where it's like everything's just a jumble of a whole bunch of religions and stuff. I don't even know at this point how to articulate it. I feel flabbergasted and speechless. I don't know. Oh my God, guys, it's just science. It's just science. It's not that big of a deal.
It's almost like we're reverting to the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it's like people don't even science anymore. Everything, that's witchcraft.
Yeah, I mean the microwave and antibiotics we were talking about earlier, pretty soon that's going to be witchcraft too, I guess. I don't even know.
Vaccinations have already gone the way of the dinosaur, apparently. But
yeah, that's that's another thing. Like I was saying earlier, mRNA technology is going to change humanity forever. It's going to change the world. And everybody's like, oh, God, it's a government conspiracy, so God have mercy. I don't even know. I don't even want to watch the rest of her video. Like, how do you even, it's times like these where I spend a lot of time, like, and over the years making videos for Paranormally Correct for the YouTube channel. I've spent a lot of time watching people with these outlandish things that they say and do. And I think, like, how do I discuss this in a way that's productive and not just like I don't want to come across as like I'm just blatantly shitting on them for fun. Like, that's never my intention, and I know that I do that from time to time, and I don't mean to, but I just feel like at some point I get to where I'm just like, I can't. It's just a free for all. I'm just going to wing it, and just like, if I am shitting on them, then so be it. Because, like, how does anybody believe this? I mean, we have Google, and we have like despite all the things we were talking about earlier with proprietary equipment and stuff like that. Like, obviously, the Cern facility and the employees probably want to keep some things on the DL just because they worked hard on it. And they don't want everybody stealing their patent or whatever. Maybe they don't even have it patent. Like, that's understandable. But when did we get to a point where technology and advancements made us dumber?
Well, technology and advancements have made us not have to rely on anything else except the technology and advancements. You don't study things in a library anymore. You don't, deep dive into something away from technology anymore for the vast majority of people. Right. Everything is right there at your fingertips. You don't have to know the information. You could just pull it up on your phone.
Yeah.
Imagine what the world would have been like if the ancient Greeks had technology like we have today. We would be hooked to a screen all the time. We'd be immersed in a digital world, wouldn't have to do anything. And we're almost to that point anyway.
Yeah, we kind of are. I mean,
yeah.
I just, I don't know. I don't know. It's beyond my pay grade to try to, like, decipher this.
We don't need to live in a matrix wasteland. We're not pod people, and we should never go the direction that would lead us to being pod people.
Yeah, I don't know. You think about, like, I don't know, our grandparents, like their parents. Me being from Eastern Kentucky, of course, and my family, also lived in the mountains and the hollers of West Virginia before they migrated on west to Kentucky. A lot of the people of that generation, they probably went their whole lives without ever seeing, like, a penguin or a killer whale, or maybe they never heard of the rainforest. Mm-hmm. Maybe if they'd have seen a giraffe, they'd have shit their britches. You know what I mean? And like, we have the ability to see and know everything, and in a way to kind of do everything, because we can experience it through YouTube videos. We can experience it through like Google Earth simulations. We could travel anywhere on the planet through programs like Google Earth. We could see the sunsets in Africa. We could see
we can watch towers online as the International Space Station orbits the Earth.
I watch that all the time. I watch,
I do too.
Also, for the last few days, I've been watching a volcano erupt very slowly in another country. I think, like, I can't remember where it is. I should probably know that. But anyway, you get the point. And it's like, people before us lived their whole life maybe never getting to see anything like we could see in a minute or two now. And yet somehow, instead of becoming better for it, we've gotten weirder.
My father, just one generation before me, he could remember days when they didn't have electricity at their farm. They couldn't afford the big cotton combines. They had cotton workers. They got out in the fields and picked cotton themselves. And my dad, until the day he died, couldn't work a phone. And he hated having to use a computer. He hated it. Absolutely. So it's not that far back. We have advanced so much just in our lifetimes.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just feel like that still don't give us any damn right to be as dumb as we are as a.
Well, no, technology, just like Mofo said, it's our critical thinking skills are in the crapper because we haven't had to do it.
Yeah.
We've got technology there to do it for us.
I just feel flabbergasted, and I don't know. I just feel like why?
Every day, there's at least one moment of every day that I think this world has turned into shit. And I don't want to be here anymore. I'm ready to go to Mars.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we should all collectively just go ahead and have an existential crisis right now together as a group.
Yeah.
And just shake the sillies out. Just shake it out together.
I agree.
I really don't even know where to go from. I'm baffled. What other points can I make that maybe will? I don't know. Is it fun? Is it like a fun thing? Like something that I've had to learn over the years trying to make paranormal content is that it does better if it's less truthful and more on the side of like entertainment. So maybe is that the explanation, or are they more entertained by like, you know what I mean? Like, is that what it is? It's like they're just going for entertainment value and maybe not so much for like realism.
And maybe. Did you see what Joshua said?
I mean, it's been a cult, Joshua Laney. It's been a cult. There just ain't many of us yet. But there will be.
We're the cult of the paranormally correct.
We're the cult of deculting other cults.
Yeah. The Boo Crew runs deep.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you know what? We're just a group of individuals crying together in the shower. Metaphorically speaking. It. I mean, I think, at that point, that's kind of what it's all about here. But,
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. So, like, if anybody's interested, I think, Cern is going to give us a little bit of insight into maybe how the universe was formed, maybe how the universe functions, simple stuff like that. It's not going to create more cryptid creatures like Dogman. Yes, we all do, Sock.
We all do, Sock. Everybody does.
I mean, where else would you have an existential crisis besides the shower?
See, my whole point for doing it is I hate crying, and I get so angry when I cry. So if I ever have an emotional day, it's just disappear and nobody sees it, and the shower washes it all away. And by the time I'm done, there's no proof of it left.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, I mean the colossal accelerator allows scientists to collide high energy subatomic particles in a controlled environment and observe their interactions.
Yep. They are miniaturizing the Big Bang. That's what they're doing. They're trying to show what happened that started this whole catastrophic event that led to humanity.
That's all.
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't even know.
We are such cynics.
Yeah. I mean, how can we not be at this point? Like, I just listened to two people scramble my brain with
Right?
simple words that I
That
should
used to not be
understand.
so easy to do.
Yeah. I do have one more video, but I don't know what this person's going to say. It might be even worse than before.
Well, we're all in it now. You got to play it. We're
All
in it to
right,
the
all
end.
right. Let's see what this
Let's hold
feller's
hands
got.
and tackle this bitch.
Let's see what this one's got to say.
Y'all are ready because on July 5th we get our superpowers. That's right, they're firing Cern up.
Yo, so I hope this video resonates with whoever it reaches. First, let me say, you will not be receiving superpowers on the 5th. Why? Because they are mimicking the superpower that we already have.
He's already lost me. But let's keep going.
On the 5th. So if you watch the young lady's video, there's a project called Cern that's becoming pretty popular.
Cerns with an S.
And basically what they're doing is they're colliding two atoms together to basically jump and create holes and loops in space.
Mandela Effects. Yeah, okay, so this one is about Mandela Effects, I think. Any thoughts?
I can already tell you the one on the right is correct.
I mean, I never paid that much attention because I didn't really care that much for cartoons.
I
as a
don't
kid.
anymore. I did when I was a kid, but
I never cared much for cartoons myself, so I couldn't.
I loved anime before it was ever even called anime.
Yeah.
Back then, I think I don't know. Is that term derogatory now?
Anime?
No, it used to be called Japanimation.
Yeah. No,
Is-
I think they just don't use Japanimation because it's not just limited to, because I think it originated there and that's why they called it that. But I don't think it's derogatory.
I would hope not. I don't want to insult anybody.
Yeah, no, I think it just evolved. It caught on and other people, like other, countries kind of jumped in and was like, we can do it too. And I think that's what happened with that. But yeah, I remember when it was referred to as Japanimation. So let's hear it, I reckon.
And when these instances occur, we find ourselves in timelines where things have slightly changed.
What's wrong with Kit Kats? What is he saying?
He's saying that the hyphen in the middle.
Oh yeah. Again, I wouldn't know. I can't eat gluten and sugar. So it's not my field of expertise.
It's poison, no matter what the label is.
It's delicious poison.
Like the most popular one, Luke, I am your father.
I have never thought that he said that, ever. It's never been that.
I actually made a video about this for TikTok way back in the beginning of my TikTok adventures. There's a pretty simple explanation for the whole Star Wars line. You think about it, like if you go to the movies and you watch that scene, and you're watching it, of course, Luke and Vader on the screen, and it makes sense for him to say, "No, I am your father." But when you leave and you're quoting, because I mean, what do you do when you love a movie? You quote the characters. That's like, character lines from iconic movies become a huge part of pop culture. But out of context, out of the movie theater, it's not going to make any sense if you're running around being like, "No, I am your father." It just kind of sounds like you need to go to the Maury Povich show. So then people started putting it back in context so that they could quote the movie line, "Luke, I am your father," but it's not that he actually.
That scene that always stood out to me was the whiny bitch that Luke turned into right after. I'm not a Skywalker fan.
I haven't watched Star Wars in about 150 years, so I don't.
I love Star Wars.
I used to love Star Wars. Not so much anymore. And
the original Star Wars. The new stuff is just
the original 3.
Shame.
No, I don't really care much for any of the new stuff, and I don't keep up with it. But I mean, really, that line is just it's misconstrued just because people are putting it back into context of the scene. It's not because the scene was different because you're from a different timeline. But I try to explain this and everybody's always just like, what? So I don't know. Maybe it's not a good explanation.
No, it is a very good explanation. You are spot on.
Let's see what else he's got to say.
Told that these are called Mandela Effects, but what are these the effect of? Quantum jumping, collective quantum jumping.
Do you remember that show Quantum Leap?
Yeah, they're remaking it. Or not
Really?
remaking it, they're bringing it back. Yeah, it's not going to have Richard Dean Anderson in it, of course, because he died. But it's going to have Scott Bakula in it.
Yeah, Quantum Leap's an old show. I used to watch it for a
loved
long time. When I get home from school, it would be on TV on like, I don't know, probably like the Sci-Fi Channel or something, and I would always watch it. And but it was reruns, of course. That's when I got into it as a kid.
You see, the Cern's project is only an example, a small example of what we have been doing as a collective, quantum jumping. Like,
I don't think that they're doing any quantum jumping at the Cern facility. Right? I haven't read anything.
I don't think so.
I'm not even sure what he's referring to when he says quantum jumping.
I think quantum is a big scientific term that most people don't understand, so they throw it out there to make things sound important.
Yeah, it's going in the confusing yet somehow spooky and fascinating word bank, along with God particle and antimatter.
Yeah,
quantum jumping. It's funny how that's like a common denominator amongst all of the conspiracies is like they take these words and phrases and stuff and like kind of jumble them up and like spit them back out as something new and like spooky and interesting. But it's like, what is up with that? That has to be significant somehow. I think it comes back to just the desire for storytelling and the desire to, like, ooh, here's this scary story. It's the same reason we have like folklore and urban legends and stuff like that. Maybe, I don't know, just a theory, but cosmic books for the ancient folk. You know what? Let me just throw this out here. You could debunk the Bible in the first 2 sentences of the Bible. You know how? There are no dinosaurs. No, really. 2 sentences in, the book is wrong. There are no dinosaurs. Do you know why? Because the dudes that wrote the Bible, they didn't yet know about dinosaurs because they didn't have science yet. So they weren't aware that billions of years ago, there were giant lizards crawling all over the earth, eating each other and slapping each other with their little bitty arms. They didn't know about the T-Rex arms.
Don't pick on my T-Rex and his little bitty arms.
I mean, like, the whole book is wrong from the first 2 sentences because there's no dinosaurs. There's no place for dinosaurs. So that tells me that
I'm still blown away by the fact that there are people today that don't believe dinosaurs existed.
Oh, God,
I am blown away by this.
Don't even get me started on the dinosaur deniers. Holy cow. How can you not believe in dinosaurs? They're awesome.
They are. They're very awesome.
They're freaking awesome. I wish I had a dinosaur. Oh my God.
I want a pet Blue. I'm just a velociraptor running around in the backyard.
My whole life, I have dreamed of being a person who finds dinosaur bones. It's never going to happen. But, like, can you imagine how cool that would be to discover?
That would be amazing.
There was a documentary about that, like, I don't know, 10 years ago or something, about these people that found dinosaur bones out west. And then the government descended on them like vultures and like, and then they took their dinosaur bones away from them. It was a T-Rex. And they just took it. They just took it away. Like, these people did all this work.
You better be willing to pay for it and, come face to face with the arsenal of weapons that are in my house. Because you're not just going to come on my land and take something that belongs to me. You're not. I
Yeah.
don't care how scientific it is.
You hear that, government? Don't take Rebecca's dinosaur bones. Don't even think about taking her dinosaur bones from her.
I'm 15 feet away from a shotgun that I won't hesitate to put in your face. I take trespassing very seriously.
Especially when it involves dinosaurs.
You leave my dinosaur bones alone.
Holy shit. Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, I'm right there with you on that one.
You're going to pay me for that stuff before you get it.
They don't print the right kind of money to make me give up my dinosaur bones. If I found some, they would be mine forever. I'd never tell anybody. I mean, I'd talk about it on the live
one
stream.
bone out of it. There would be somebody at the Smithsonian trying to put it to get back together, and they're like, "Where is this bone at? They must have lost it in a fight against a Stegosaurus or something." No,
it's in Rebecca's pillowcase.
Why does this T-Rex not have a skull?
There's a missing femur, right?
Yeah.
It's under the mattress. And you
Don't
guys
worry about what my dog is chewing on. It has nothing to do with that.
Oh, God. Wow.
I'm so tired today.
Me too. We'll wrap this up here in the next few minutes. And then we can go play with our dinosaur bones in secret where the government can't do anything about it.
I gotta go prepare for chemotherapy tomorrow.
So one more thing in regard to CERN, and I kept talking about it, the microscopic black holes. I want to read this to you. This is straight from their website because it is, like I said, there's a shred of truth to the microscopic black hole thing. Because a lot of people are saying, like, you know, they're going to open a black hole and it's going to shift the timeline and we're going to have more Mandela effects, right? So according to their website, it says another way of revealing extra dimensions would be through the production of microscopic black holes. What exactly we would detect would depend on the number of extra dimensions, the mass of the black hole, the size of the dimensions, and the energy at which the black hole occurs. If micro black holes do appear in the collisions created by the Hadron Collider, they would disintegrate rapidly around 10 to 27 seconds. They would decay into standard model. And remember, I mentioned that earlier. You can read about that on their website. Or supersymmetric particles, creating events containing an exceptional number of tracks in our detectors, which we would easily spot. Finding more on any of these subjects would open the door to yet unknown possibilities. So it is a possibility. The microscopic black holes thing is a possibility, but they would be microscopic, first of all, not big enough for a dog man to come through.
It's not going to implode the reality that we live on.
It's not going to affect anything. And it would only last for a few seconds. But I think that's really cool, though. But
it's really cool. It would allow us to study a black hole that at this point in time, we can't really study.
Right. Yeah.
I think that is fascinating.
It is. It's super cool. And that's what I've been saying all along is like, you know, the Hadron Collider, it doesn't get the love and respect that it deserves because this is pretty cool stuff. And it's pretty exciting, and it's going to be running for quite some time. So hopefully we'll have lots of updates from them. Hopefully they'll tell us what's going on and tell us about all the cool things that they're discovering.
And take us to a time before gingivitis.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
Yep. They also have in their facts, will CERN open a door to another dimension? CERN will not open a door to another dimension. If the experiments conducted at the LHC demonstrate the existence of certain particles, it could help physicists to test various theories about nature and our universe, such as the presence of extra dimensions. But it's not going to open any doors to any alternate realities. So you guys don't have to worry about that.
The fact that they even have to put this up on their website makes me lose what little faith I have in humanity.
I know, right?
Have we just seriously? Are people just that stupid these days? I mean, really?
I mean, yeah, like that's the question. The biggest question that I wanted to try to address tonight is like where these conspiracy theories come from. And we know that they come from Reddit for the most part initially. But I think, with Reddit, like, and I don't want to take too much more time here because I know we need to wrap up, but the thing about Reddit is like there are a lot of big storytelling subreddits. And those bleed over into other subreddits. Like you have No Sleep where people write fiction stories, and you have
Creepypasta, which is the best and worst thing ever created for the paranormal community.
Exactly. People still think that rakes exist because of the creepypastas, and like I think they have like psychically willed Slender Man into existence at this
It's
point.
called a tulpa. That's what that is. It's a tulpa. When you collectively think into existence a supernatural being.
Right. And so yeah, I mean, but Reddit they are notorious for spawning conspiracies. And I think a lot of times it happens by way of storytelling. So it's kind of incidental. I don't think it's always intentional. But another thing that people need to keep in mind when it comes to Reddit conspiracy theories, and I'm not like, I don't want to shit on Reddit because I'm like a big fan of Reddit. I use Reddit a lot. I really enjoy it. It's like a reading community where everything's pretty much text based except for like memes and stuff. But there are a lot of people who are maybe not really mentally well that come on there and start things, and there are lots of notorious stories that have originated from Reddit that are the product of maybe people suffering from anything from depression to drug addiction, and everything in between.
There's some creepy real life stuff that has happened that has
There
been
is.
documented on Reddit.
I mean, there's everything.
They have computer or newspaper articles to back up it happening. Just crazy stuff has happened there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good, I like lurking around Reddit. I really do. Sometimes though, I can't help but shake my head and go, man, this is going to spawn something the paranormal community is not ready to deal with.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it is the next urban legend.
Yeah. And it happens all the time.
Good night, Sock.
And we'll see you later, Sock. Thanks for popping in tonight. But yeah, so you have to take into consideration that, while Reddit is fun and it is, there's lots of interesting things to read about and learn about over there, it can't all be taken 100% seriously.
I always fall back on the philosophy of Dr. House. People lie.
Yeah.
So, there's that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And we live in such a narcissistic society that people lie just for attention. And they'll go to great depths to provide quote unquote evidence for their lies.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can't trust everybody on the internet.
No. I remember a day when you could kind of trust people on the internet still. That's how old I am. There were people that you could kind of trust.
I don't know where. Yeah, no, I remember it being a cesspool from day one, but yeah.
Let's say in some communities on the internet, you could believe people.
Yeah. So that's it, guys. That's honestly, at the end of the day, if you're not interested in or fascinated by science and physics, CERN is really nothing that crazy. But if you're into that kind of thing and you appreciate that kind of thing, then yeah, you're going to find that CERN is really like a fascinating experiment, and it performs a fascinating task.
And
But
some very, very smart people have done very remarkable things.
Yeah, some of the best scientists from all over the world.
Yeah.
But none of it, I don't think, is malicious. I don't
They're
think
not
any of it.
sacrificing virgins to Shiva or any of that.
I didn't even get to that video tonight. Holy cow! I'll just forget about that one altogether.
Well, it's been debunked time and time again. So
No. I'm not talking about the one of the ritual outside.
Oh, the video?
This one, I'm talking about a bunch of people in jumpsuits strip their clothes off and start flying. And
What?
apparently people think that it's some type of like satanic ritual that they perform at CERN. I didn't even get to that one tonight because I don't even know where to start with that one. Like I don't know.
This is a video?
I'll text it to you.
Okay.
It's ridiculous, and I didn't get to research it enough to try to figure out what the actual origin of this video is. But I was going to show it for shits and giggles. But I just want to, like, one more thing while we're on that topic. There are a lot of people these days who claim to be Satanists, and a lot of people belong to like the Satanic Temple. And like, just so everybody knows, Satanists don't even believe in the devil. Like, even if all of the scientists at CERN were Satanists, that would actually mean that they're basically atheists. You know what I mean? Nobody's doing naked rituals in the woods.
The whole idea of that came from a hedonist named Anton LaVey.
Yeah.
And he was the biggest joke to ever be put on the planet.
Right. Anton LaVey was like, he was a snake oil salesman, and he was a con man.
Yes.
But the conspiracy theories, how they get completely out of control, and they're very much varying degrees within this whole CERN thing. And I really didn't even touch on a lot of the deeper, crazier stuff, because there are a lot of really messed up beliefs about CERN, and a lot of things that I can't even talk about explicitly here on YouTube, because YouTube, the algorithm gods. So I didn't even get to go into a lot of that. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's absurd. It is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I hope that this was informative, and I hope that I dispelled some rumors and maybe brought some clarity to this big giant mystery. That was my goal with this video, was to like try to refocus the internet and the paranormal world and the conspiracy world, and be like, hey, look, this is a cool scientific thing. It's not the devil, and it's not scary, and it's not going to cause you to spiritually vibrate. You're going to be fine. You're not going to vibrate into a black hole. So you guys are going to be okay. There's no Mandela Effects going to get you. But hopefully it was interesting and you learned something, and hopefully you will subscribe if you've made it this far, and click the like button and leave a comment and tell me what your favorite CERN conspiracy theory is.
If anything, I hope everybody was entertained and got a couple of chuckles at least.
Yeah, hopefully. And yeah, don't take my lack of ability to articulate my real genuine thoughts on some of the video reactions tonight as me just trying to be mean, because I'm really not. Sometimes I just get really flabbergasted and then I run out of things to say. But anyway, I guess we're going to wrap it up for tonight, because I am losing my voice. I've been talking for 2 hours. I'm losing my voice. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and stick around for more spooky content. If you're on TikTok, come follow the Paranormally Correct TikTok. I was going to try to do a ghost story stream tonight, but I'm losing my voice, so I'm probably not going to get to. I will be doing ghost story streams. I need some mods. If you're on TikTok, I need some mods, because people over there sometimes get a little crazy. All right, guys, that is it for tonight. Until next time, don't get sucked into a black hole, don't get eaten by Dogman, and
don't believe people who toss around the words anti-protons and antimatter and dark matter and all that stuff. And don't get abducted by aliens.
exactly. And we'll see you guys later.
Hi, guys.